We always play really well in spells, but throughout this season, we've been our own worst enemy.
Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, The Bold Tackle. We are your hosts, Sophie Howard and Oliver Howard, and we are ready to tackle bold topics in sport,
highlight the women's football industry,
and speak about the unspoken.
If you are ready to get an insight into what really goes on behind the scenes, join us on our journey and listen in
to The Bold Tackle. Hi and welcome back to a new episode of our podcast, The Bold Tackle. And hi Soph, lovely to see you again.
Hi Ollie, lovely to see you again. Where are you, please?
I'm in close to your most beloved Hoffenheim. I'm in Heidelberg today because we have an event here this morning. So we've also jumped back to an early morning session, as probably people can see in our faces or hear in our voices.
I thought we've done really, really well here. Do you know that Heidelberg is one of my favourite places ever?
Why?
It's probably because I went from a young girl leaving home to an adult, and I have really good, fun memories from Heidelberg.
I can imagine. A lot of nights out, I can expect.
I don't know why you're saying you can imagine. You have to agree because you were there.
No, but I can imagine that this will be your favourite city. As we know, we've both been around the world a lot, and there's always a favourite place. I really like Heidelberg, and I noticed when we were when I showed my colleagues yesterday. But we were discussing about cities and life and whatever, and I always realised that I'm not a big city guy. I know obviously live in Cologne, but we are in a suburb of Cologne, and I just prefer it to be in the green and away from all the noise and whatever. I go into town to work, but I'm happy to be outside with a little garden outside of town to living in the middle of a city.
I'd agree with the whole not living in a city. I love going on a little city break, but that's about it.
That was a great transition, Soph. Obviously, we're in a big town, big city this weekend. You played Arsenal in front of a huge crowd. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute because I do want to hear what you say about that. But obviously, you didn't get the result you wanted, but you did secure your spot in the Women's Super League for next year.
Yes, we did mathematically. We're safe, which is a nice feeling. However, I can't say that I spent too much time thinking about a relegation battle this year round.
Did you have a doubt not making it?
No, I think because mathematically it's still a possibility, it's somewhere in the back of your mind. I think, and that's quite natural. Because I think it's always very dangerous to just say like we're not going down. But deep down, we knew that wasn't an option. And I think throughout the whole season this year, we continuously focused on what's ahead, not what's behind us. We constantly tried to close a gap with the teams that were in front of us more than increase a gap with the teams that were behind us.
Yeah, I think you can see that in the table as well, because there's only 3 points or 2 points, I think, between you and place 7. It is very close in the midfield, and we didn't really see you down there that often. But how can you compare it to last year? Because if we look at last year, I think this was the phase where you were starting to really win a couple of games and really getting back the hope of staying in the league. It must be a totally different way of playing football with a little bit of more security.
It's a very difficult one to compare. I think last year, obviously, the first turnaround point was the first game we played against Brighton, and we spoke about that one before. But the weeks after that is when we started picking up points and we realised we're catching up, we're getting there. And as you mentioned, this was probably a phase where we really, really believed that we're not going down, in a sense of it's almost in our own hands. If we manage to win all the games that we have to win, to secure staying up. We could stay up. So in a sense of playing different football, we've played completely different football for the whole season this year. But that is due to different reasons. Not so much the spot we are in the table. It's a bizarre one because currently I think, well, if I speak for myself, I'm very disappointed with the recent results. Whereas we were in last year, I was probably more, wouldn't say happy, but more relieved about getting points. However, we were in a completely different situation. So as much as we've performed way better this season, more performance-wise and result-wise, because we haven't got near enough the points that we want to and wanted to, but performance-wise, we're performing so much better. There's still an underlying disappointment with the lack of points and results we're getting.
I think that's a point of managing expectations, just because you did perform so well, especially in the first half of the season. And by performing well, I mean you were getting the points. At the moment, you're always just falling a little bit short. But the expectations are way higher because you see you can do it. You see how you can play, and it's this little step missing. But this is also a development. Maybe next year this will change as well, to get these couple of points more, and then you can secure a mid-table space pretty early on in the season. But you need to start winning the difficult games where it's so close.
Absolutely. I think the rewarding or the good part about it all is that we're performing well. So that's kind of the positives to take, even at the weekend. And I know we're going to speak about it in a sec, but the first 45 was one of our best first 45s we've played. We played high-level football against a top side. We just, for some reason, can't continue that for 90 minutes or across the 90 minutes. We always play really well in spells, but throughout this season, we've been our own worst enemy.
But that means the quality is there. But what makes you... Is it the concentration that goes missing?
I think it's a contribution of a few things. I think the way we play, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Especially up until a couple of weeks when we tweaked a few things and we changed a few things tactically. I think the way we play now is more secure, especially in the back line. We've got more people to cover one another compared to being so expansive and left to your own devices pretty much. Another aspect is the more often it happens, that creeps in as a pattern, and you're up 2-1 and you're like, shoot, what if we give that away again? And that creeps in. That is normal. That is natural. That's a psychological thing. That's something we need to work on. Fortunately, against Arsenal, we didn't give away a lead because we weren't ever leading. So that's a positive to take, I guess. But we've given away so many leads. It's actually unbelievable. And
but why is that confidence not there? Because if you're playing better, if you are scoring this first goal, that should give you the confidence that there we are, we can do it, and just continue playing exactly. Because this is something, and it was the same in my career, and it's the same with a lot of football matches. You see that this, you say it's normal and it's just human to get a little bit scared, but that should build your confidence.
It should.
Because otherwise you're feeling out of place, right?
Yeah, logically, we should be flying after we go up. And for some reason, it's not like we stopped playing football completely. But you can tell that everyone is always thinking about, oh, we've been here before, uh-oh. You can also, which is bizarre, because now we play very different, you can also see that on our men's side, which is so interesting to watch, I think. But obviously that's a different topic. For me as well, I think, if I'm brutally honest, we go into halftime, often haven't played really, really well, and we continue to do what we've been doing well. We neglect that teams analyse us at halftime. So what we do really well could potentially not be on anymore in the second half, because teams see what we do really well, and that's the first thing, obviously, they want to shut down, which is absolutely normal. So I think as a team, everyone included, we have to be better at adjusting. Maybe not adjusting until the change has happened from the opposition, because if it's working, why would you change it? However, we need to have a plan B if things do change outside, in a sense of they change, I don't know, their press or their formation or which way they show us or take away certain options. We need to have a plan. How are we going to counteract that? And I think going forward, that's something we really need to focus on.
Does that mean you need some more flexibility in your tactics and also some more flexibility and depth in the team? Is that something to look out for the start of next season? To have this extra 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th player where you can't see any difference and you can switch, adjust tactics, the way you play and so on?
I think we already have that. I think we have flexibility within the squad, different players for the same position that can give you something different. Flexibility in terms of maybe tactically or the same personnel on the pitch, maybe. Maybe the thing is that we're too stubborn to change. That's probably a common theme throughout the season. And that's just upon reflection, really. Because for me, I was really, really frustrated after the Arsenal game because Spurs, the same thing happened. They slightly adjusted, and there was not a massive change in their press at all. But I think partially the personnel they brought on, they were looking to change slightly in terms of taking our options away. I don't obviously want to.
And that threw you off your path.
Yeah. Because that made our game more one-dimensional, and we are best when we're not one-dimensional, when we're multi-dimensional, and teams don't really know how to deal with that. And I'm trying not to give any tactics away here, but both Spurs and Arsenal made slight adjustments that narrowed our game down to one dimension, and we aren't good enough to only have one dimension. Teams know how to defend it, and then teams know how to then break us down, and that's why it didn't work.
Because we're talking about all this now, is there anything one can say already about the coach? Is she staying next year? Do we know anything yet?
It's been clearly communicated that they're looking external for a new manager. As far as we're concerned, Jen will stay as an assistant manager because I believe she's doing a really, really good job and she's deserved that. You never know, though, if a new manager comes in and they want to bring their whole team with them. It's a very tricky time and tricky place at the moment.
That's football, isn't it?
To say anything further. Yeah, it's football. I really hope Jen stays. I think the team does. I think she's done a great job for being thrown in the deep end, but we actually have no further information about a new manager.
So, to end off the episode, let's talk a little bit about Arsenal. 40,000 in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
How is that feeling to play in front of so many people again? We would have wanted to see it in 2 weeks' time, but it was pulled forward now a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up again. I knew you were going to drop it in. Do you want to talk about the disappointment about you guys not coming across?
Yeah. I would save me some money. Take your positives.
We're almost becoming snubs in the sense of it felt a bit normal because we had it as Spurs. Obviously, It was even more people there, and to play at the Emirates is obviously great. It was a great atmosphere. Once again, we were slightly outnumbered.
Yes.
But we had, again, loads of travelling fans, which we really appreciated. We did hear them as well, probably partially because I was playing quite right next to them. It was a great atmosphere, and it shows how women's football, again, is growing, and it's becoming more of a, I wouldn't say norm, but it's more frequent that we get those numbers now in the women's game, which is great, obviously.
Do you get a little bit more excited, not only because of more fans, but of the changing rooms are different. The way to the pitch is longer. The way you drive into a stadium is different, obviously, to the small stadiums where you're outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
Does that excitement change at all?
To be honest, when I was walking in with one of my teammates, and we looked at each other and was like, "This is quite cool, isn't it?" But it was more like a positive excitement more than nerves. Someone actually asked me, this is quite funny, but someone actually asked me, I'd get well nervous with a crowd like that. Do you get nervous? And I said, I've only been nervous once this season, and this is when I had my 2 brothers in the stands. I said, I could only have them 2 in the stands. I'd be more nervous than when I had 40,000 in the stands. And that is the truth.
Yeah, are we so mean?
No, do you know what? I was so nervous against Man City when you not Ed came, and I can't explain it. And I spoke to one of my teammates, I spoke to Yanni about it, and I said, I've had such a good run of games, and I want to give that to Ollie and Ed, and now I'm nervous that this is not going to happen. And she was just laughing her head off. She goes, you're absolutely silly.
That is silly.
It is silly, but yeah, the truth is I was more nervous when you 2 were in the stands. And we literally, what did we have that game? 4,000 maybe? And I was at home. I felt at home at the King Power. You guys have seen me play a million times, maybe not live, more so on the telly, but you 2 have seen me play so many times. You've seen me play in the World Cup, and I was more nervous just having you and Ed after all those years in the stands. Probably because you had your daughter as well. Probably wanted to impress her.
Are you going to be nervous in 2 matches time?
I'm probably going to be more nervous in 3 matches time because Mum's going to be in the crowd. I've asked Mum to come over.
That'll be the final match of the season, right?
Yeah.
But what's the match? What happens to the match before?
I'm on 98 games for Leicester, so I'm working hard to get 2 more to reach the 100. I don't think Mum knows this, but that's partially why I wanted her there.
For the 101st.
Yes, 101st, but that's the first home game we have afterwards. I wouldn't ask her to come out if you play away. That's not the same feeling. You know, this is ironic. She said to me, "You best play though." I was like, "Mum, I'll do everything I can." She goes, "Yeah, every time Mum, Dad and I come over, you don't play." So I was like, "Okay." Yeah. I was like, "Okay, don't come then." But yeah, I'm going to give it my all and see if I can get on the pitch for a couple of more appearances.
And how does this work? Is this just a number, or do you plan something for the team?
Basically, it's just a number, really, to be very honest.
A number to be very proud of.
Well, yeah, hopefully. We're not there yet. And that's one I keep wanting to mention because I don't want to jinx it. As I said, I'll do everything to be on the pitch. But yeah, if it does happen, let's say when it happens, because hopefully at some point it will happen, it'll be a proud moment, especially with...
I can imagine.
The seasons we've had at Leicester, and yeah, that would be a proud moment, and I would want to share that with my family as much as I can. That is 100 games that I haven't been at home for, pretty much.
But that's a moment to enjoy. And obviously, you said about the seasons you've enjoyed with Leicester so far, and there's another one coming, which we're all really, really looking forward to. To round the episode off, what's planned for the next couple of days before we speak again next week? Yeah,
hopefully we would speak sooner than that, because I've got a few good ideas actually for the next couple of episodes. But anyways, training, a lot of training and preparing for United. It's been a while since we were at home at the King Power, so it's going to feel a bit bizarre. Because we had an away game before we had international, then we had 2 weeks of international, then we had Spurs, then we had Arsenal, so that's been 5 weeks that we haven't been at home, or 6 weeks that we haven't been at home. It feels...
Then it's about time.
It's about time that we are allowed back. So I'm really excited to be back home. It's always a special feeling with the home crowd. Obviously, we've been privileged that we had the fans that travelled, but nothing beats playing at home. But yeah, a lot of training, a lot of prep, and making sure we perform well and actually get some end result, I'd say, against United.
I'm crossing my fingers, but we'll leave it at that, Soph. Thank you very much for the insights, and I'm off to the event now.
Oh, have fun. No, you're very welcome. Have a good day at work. I hope it goes well, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.